Let me just make sure my camera's on. All right. I don't know about you. This is lemon juice I'm putting in this bowl of water. But I absolutely hate buying something if I can make it myself. So what I'm making today, folks, is two things. I'm going to make pectin for my jams and jellies next year, and I'm going to make dehydrated apple slices. So I have this wonderful machine here that I got from, I think I got it for $2. It's from Pampered Chef, but I got it from a secondhand store. This isn't on tight enough. Tighten this down. I got it from a secondhand store for $2. Now what this wonderful machine does is it peels and slices my apple. Look at that. All in one crank. Now these slices, just going to give it a little cut here. These slices will be perfect for dehydrating. So I'm just going to put these apple slices in the lemon water. And then I'm going to take the peels and the cores, which is where all your fruit pectin is, and put them in a pot. Now, oh, sorry. A tip about these apples. Some of these apples I got at the farmer's market as early cooking apples. Now, the trick with making pectin is you want tart apples. So your best bet, if you're lucky enough to live near or in the country, is to go for a drive and pick wild apples or even crab apples, because they're really high in pectin. But if you have to get regular apples, make sure you get tart ones like Granny Smith, or get early apples, okay? Because that's, like I said, where all the pectin is. In the peels and in the cores. So nothing is going to go to waste. And what I'm going to do when I'm done all these apples, I happen to be lucky enough, I got some at the farmer's market. And down the road, a neighbor of mine has 2 or 3 apple trees kind of just hanging out at the edge of the road. So I stopped today and said, hey, do you mind if I pick some apples? I mean, I know for a fact people stop all the time because the apples are right at the window of your car. And I know people stop all the time and just take. But you know what? It doesn't hurt to ask. It really doesn't. The lady even helped me, you know. She said there's 3 different kinds of apples here. There's like a Macintosh and there's like a Granny Smith. These are the ones. Now look at these apples. They're not sprayed, and that's another thing. When you're making pectin from apples, if you buy commercial apples, 9 times out of 10 they've been sprayed. Wild apples or apples from the side of the road, they're not. But look at these. I mean, these are not sprayed apples, which means they're organic. And since we're boiling the cores and the peels for the pectin, you don't want pesticides on this fruit. But aren't they lovely? Anyway, we'll be back later. I have a nice 4 full trays of apples. Now they're just starting to go a little bit on the brown side because but I did soak them with lemon juice and water. But these are going to go in the dehydrator. And any apples I have left over, I may put in the fridge in lemon juice and dehydrate another tray. And I may make some applesauce. But one thing's for sure, I'll be making an apple upside down cake tonight for dessert. Okay, here's that canning pot of mostly, I've cut up a few of the smaller green apples, but it's almost all apple peels and cores. And I've just put enough water in to float the apples and stuff. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it on medium to high, bring it to a boil, and then let it simmer until these are soft. And then I will drain them and we'll cook the pectin down. Alrighty, we'll be back later. Alrighty, here is our cooked apple peels and apple cores, and as you can see, they're nice and soft and mushy. And what we want is we don't want to mush them. We want this clear fluid, because this clear fluid that they're floating in is going to be the pectin. So I'm going to strain it into this pot and I will be right back. And I'm dripping them now into the pot. And when they're finished draining, we don't press. We don't want our pectin to be cloudy. So we're just going to allow this to drip. I'm going to put the canning pot lid on it because it is fly season. I'm going to set that on there and I'm going to let it drip for about an hour. And when it's done dripping, we're going to cook it down. I've transferred the apple drippings back into my canning pot and I'm going to put it on medium to simmer. And we're going to cook it down. We're going to reduce it a little bit because I like my pectin fairly strong. But I will be back when it's reduced some, and I'm going to show you how to test for the pectin amount. Now, you're going to see here why my birds are so juicy. That is the peels and cores that I cooked for pectin. Now, I suppose I could have put it through a food mill and made a little bit of apple butter, but I'd rather add some butter to my birds. And as you can see, they are starting to gobble that right up. All that is stewed apple peels and cores. And And as one likes, the other ones follow in and say, you know what? I'm liking this. So, nothing goes to waste on our half-acre homestead. Now I'm about to, these are the rest of the apples I sliced yesterday, and they are getting a little brown despite the lemon juice, but that's okay, because they're going in the dehydrator. This is what I dehydrated yesterday, and I'm telling you, these are my dehydrated apples, and they're really, really good. They're going to do really good in pies. I mean, just because they're dry, don't assume they don't have flavor. The flavor is actually concentrated. And I'm looking forward to a bowl of oatmeal with some of this and raisins in it and home-raised honey this winter. Excuse me. So anyway, that was from one dehydrator full. Let's get the lid back on there. And this should fill the dehydrator again. So we're going to have lots. Anyway, we'll be back when the pectin on the stove is ready. Okay, folks, now we're going to test our juice for pectin. And the way we do this is I've taken some of the juice, a couple of tablespoons, from the pot, and I put it in the freezer just to cool. You don't want it frozen, you just want it cool. And I've got probably a quarter cup of rubbing alcohol here. And we're just going to pour this in here like that. We're going to just swirl it around a little bit. And then I'm going to go get a fork. And that is supposed to gel. Now it may take a minute. But apparently if you just shake it up and down and let it sit. Oh, I don't know if you can see this, but it is collecting. Oh, look at that. Isn't that amazing? It's gelled. I'm having a hard time picking it up, but there it is, folks. There is proof of pectin. See the jelly? That means we have pectin in this pot. So next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to wash and sterilize my jars, and I'm going to bottle that up and process it in the boiling bath canner, and I will have pectin for my jam for next year. Woot! Okay, now we're ready to start bottling our pectin. You know what? I usually grab my jars out of the oven with an oven mitt, and I think I'll do that from now on. It's pretty standard for just about any canning method you do. Ladle here. I have my jars that have been washed, rinsed, and baked in the oven for 15 minutes. And we're just going to bottle this up. And then we're going to process it in a boiling bath canner. Now, you're going to find little cloudy bits and pieces. If you don't want that, just strain it. Just strain it through a wire mesh colander before you bottle it. It doesn't bother me. It's going to get hidden in the jam anyway. So, we are going to give the rim a wipe. Grab a jar lid. And we are going to pop this into the boiling bath canner, and it is going to be processed for 10 minutes. I forgot to mention, and I might as well tell you while I'm doing this, that if you just wanted apple jelly, you would take 6 cups of this liquid, add some cinnamon, add 6 cups of sugar that you've warmed in the oven, and boil it together and pour it in these jars. And you would have apple jelly. But we're not big apple jelly people. And we are big strawberry jam people. And I hate using, ow, that's hot. I hate using Certo or powdered pectin. I'm pretty sure it's the same thing. But the apples were, well, most of the apples were free from a neighbor down the road who had an apple tree. And if you live in like I live, or in the country or the hills where I live, there's wild apple trees growing all over the place. And, along the sides of roads and stuff. And if you see a wild apple tree, go grab her. Grab all the apples you can get your hands on. Just make sure the bad parts are cut off and that your apples are really well washed. And if they're just even little, crab apples have great pectin. But even if they're just little crab apples, you can make pectin from those. You just don't have to peel them and slice them. You just cut them, quarter them, and throw them in the pot. After, of course, they've been washed and the bad parts cut off. Anyway, we'll be back when I am done filling these jars. There we go, folks. We have 8 half pints and 1 pint in the boiling bath canner. And I'm going to bring that to a boil, and I'm going to process that for 10 minutes. Now, I have a little bit left over in the pot, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop that in a jar and put a lid on it and keep it in the fridge, because I know I'm going to be making more before long. So I'll just add that into the next pot of apple skins and stuff that I'm cooking down. All right, here we go, folks. Last jar out of the canner. Now, isn't that lovely? Almost free pectin for my jams next year. Now, a couple of things. This is not the thick, this is not like the thick liquid pectin that you would buy in the packages. This is thinner. So I would recommend 1 jar for 1 recipe of jam. Don't double up. And this is cooked. You're going to use this in cooked jam. I don't recommend using it in freezer jam because it is not as thick as liquid pectin. But other than that, it should do the job. This is Bev from our half acre homestead saying, if you can make it and you don't have to buy it, awesome. Have a great day.